so exciting this morning to be joined by such committed elected officials and community activists and others who care about the issue of hunger in our community. Montgomery County is a very affluent community situated right outside of Washington, D.C., and what most people know about the county is how well it does. But there is a hidden story about Montgomery County that we're here this week to talk about, and that is the numbers of our residents and friends who live in poverty and who are challenged each and every day to put enough food on their table to feed themselves and their families. And so the SNAP Challenge is really not about us. The SNAP Challenge is about all of those people in our community that are struggling to pay their rent, to keep their job, to keep a roof over their heads, and most importantly, to make sure that their families get fed a nourishing meal every single day. And I would like to start this press conference by having the superintendent talk before the rest of us do, and that is because where most people see poverty is in the school buildings first. Teachers and principals and support staff workers know which kids come to school who haven't had breakfast, who will not have lunch or dinner when they go home at night. And this is our first indicator. It's the canary in the coal mine that here in Montgomery County families are struggling with food insecurity issues. And so I would like to have Josh, who's just been such a great supporter of this effort and a friend and a huge leader in not only Montgomery County but in the nation. We are one of the best school systems anywhere, but we are struggling with this issue every day. So I'd like Josh to speak to that.
Thank you so much, Valerie. Good morning, everybody. I want to first thank Valerie and the rest of the County Council for bringing attention to this issue. I also want to make sure I introduce Tim Warner, my Chief Engagement and Partnership Officer, who may be taller than I am now, so I'm no longer the tallest guy in the room. I don't know what my identity is anymore. And of course, Chris Barkley is here, but there are a few board members that are doing this. We also have many principals and other school leaders who are participating in the SNAP Challenge, and when they saw that the County Council was doing it and so many others, they said, you know what, this is something they want to do because they see it every single day. We have more poor children in Montgomery County than the District of Columbia has students enrolled in their public schools. If you took the poor kids in Montgomery County, we would be the 6th largest district. If you just took the number of poor children we have, it would be as big as the 6th largest district in the state. So it's important that folks understand the truth of what happens in our schools, and we know that despite all of the efforts of families to make ends meet, despite all of the efforts of our food and nutrition services to provide a healthy lunch, we know, and breakfast, we know that many of our kids and families go hungry. We do everything we can and will continue to do everything we can to serve our kids during the day, to make sure they're learning at a high level and to graduate ready to take on the world. And it is so important that we continue to work together as a community and as a county to say that, you know, they are all our children, they're all our families, and we must do everything we can to draw attention to the issue and to serve our children and youth and families in so many different ways. So thank you, Valerie, for bringing attention to this issue. I want to thank everybody in the school system and throughout the community who's participating so that we can just bring attention to this very, very important issue. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Josh. To my right is the Council President. Council President Nancy Navarro and I have been friends for a very long time. Prior to her serving on the council, she was the president of the school board twice, but I've just known her for many years for being an activist and someone who's speaking out on these issues and has for many years. And so I want Nancy, as our representative, as the president of the county council, to kind of give us her take on this and what we will do as council members and policymakers, not just here in Montgomery County, but across the state of Maryland, because there is no reason why any child should go hungry in our community. And so I'd like to introduce the council president, Nancy Navarro.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you, Valerie. Really is extraordinary to be here because I do remember us having this conversation for many, many years. The good news is that Montgomery County is a great place to live because it's one of the wealthiest counties in the nation. The bad news is that because of that reputation, we tend to forget and we don't understand exactly the children, the families that are affected by poverty. And so to me, this particular moment, it's about putting the spotlight fair and square and finally declaring that we need to make this a priority, that every time that we decide to fund a program that addresses some of these issues, that every time we decide to support a nonprofit organization that addresses this issue, every time we try to support the school system in their quest to provide supplemental nutrition to our children, every time that we vote to adopt a master plan and incentivize redevelopment in areas of the county like the East County that needs it so desperately, because these families don't just want to rely on this assistance, they want to be self-sufficient. Every single time we do this, it's because we understand who we are in the county. So there should be no question. I think at the state level, our delegation, everybody should understand that just like other jurisdictions that we always think about, Prince George's or Baltimore City, Montgomery County has its needs as well, and we need to move forward. We need to be proactive, and we should not question it. We need to address this. It's real, and it has only gotten bigger. And as Superintendent Starr just said, the school system is the epicenter, and we have seen how it has grown. So thank you again, and thank you to my colleagues and everybody who is here for putting a stamp and taking on this challenge, and we shall compare notes and see how we did afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nancy. And let me just call on my colleagues to say a couple of brief remarks. The Council Vice President, Craig Rice, who is no stranger to this issue, and my good friend and colleague, Nancy Florine, who has a very interesting take on how she purchased her food as a cancer survivor. So I would like Craig Rice and Nancy Florine to come and quickly make a few comments, and then we'll get on to our other folks that are here.
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank Valerie for setting this up for us, because, you know, I think that it's extremely important. This isn't about us, as she said. This is about making sure that people understand how tough it is. And one of the things that I commented earlier is that, you know, when you're talking about families and you're talking about what they have to do to be able to survive, you know, we all have children who have their particular wants and don't eat this, don't eat that. But when you're working within a budget, that isn't your flexibility. And so it goes so much more beyond just eating healthy. It's also about how it affects the family life at home, how it affects, you know, what goes on inside that household. And I think that so that when you're struggling with trying to be able to afford meals, it's much deeper than just saying what you're walking out of the grocery store with. It really is how it affects your family, how it affects your life. And I think that doing this today helps us to understand those deeper problems that are there beyond just saying, can I afford some apples or oranges? But what is it going to mean for us for the week? You know, what is it going to mean for my child who's now unhappy because last night I forced him to eat meatloaf because they didn't want to, and they're going to school upset? I mean, these are real things that come out of this. And so I think that, again, we have to think about the totality of this, plus the nutritional side of it. I mean, look, you know, there's no question that there's the warrants of eating, you know, Smart White Wonder Bread or whatever the case may be. But I bought bread for $1 because that's all I could afford. And so when you're talking about the healthy aspects that go into this as well, there's so much that's there. And again, it's good for us to experience this so it can remind us of many of the programs that we have in the county that the council president highlighted that are there to try and make sure that we deliver and help those that are in need. So thank you very much, Valerie, for bringing this to everybody's attention.
And Nancy.
Well, just to add my piece, as a cancer survivor, I've tried to focus my shopping, and it hasn't been easy. I couldn't afford getting through this week if I hadn't been able to buy some things in bulk. To get 5 fresh vegetables and or fruits in the course of a day is very difficult. Forget about organics. And if you add in the cost of transportation and the ability to transport your items, we can only begin to appreciate the lives of so many around us. So I compliment Councilmember Ervin and the Council President from what they said, because this will affect and does affect every single decision that we make. Accessibility to affordable lifestyle is our goal as a community, and that's something we'll continue to work for. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Very excellent points. And Chris, I'm going to have you come up representing the Board of Education, and then we're going to start talking about the work that's being done on a daily basis by many of the people surrounding me, who this is their life's work. So go ahead, and this is our good friend and colleague, President of the Board of Education, Chris Barlow.
So first of all, I have to thank Valerie for bringing attention to this and say that we have two other members of the Board of Education who couldn't be here with us today, Shirley Brandman and Rebecca Smondrowski, who are all participating in this. So there are three of us who are really working at it, along with Dr. Starr, as he said, and other members of the school system. I think the interesting challenge, and I want to talk about going in and shopping, because going in and shopping and have $25 and for myself being overweight and being a type 2 diabetic was an incredible challenge. So just imagine if there are 4 or 5 family members, as Craig said, and you have young children, you're trying to figure out how to have a real healthy meal for them 5 times a week. It is pretty difficult. Or even to think about, what are you doing with lunch? If your kid doesn't like the school lunch, how are you figuring this out? This is a real challenge, and I'm really glad that we're having the opportunity to take this symbolic step forward. But the most important thing is to really bring attention to the challenges that young people and families have. And another piece that folks have talked about a little bit is just, how do you get to the place to get your food, okay? Because there are some folks who are shopping at the corner store. And shopping at the corner store means your money isn't going as far as it needs to go. You're not getting great items, you know, and with all due respect to our host, I would probably be shopping at some place that had food for less, okay? And it may not be as good, but it's really important for me to make the money go. So just think about the challenge that our families have, and they're dealing with this every day. And I really appreciate you doing this, Valerie, because we need to bring attention to how difficult it is to raise a family in a community that is wonderful but wealthy. It's really a challenge. So I really look forward to doing it. I'm not going to have really wonderful meals this week, but I'm going to deal.
Thank you very much. So we've already heard a couple of challenges, one from Chris, who's a type 2 diabetic, and Nancy Florine, who's a breast cancer survivor. But I want to talk about why we chose Giant, Chris. And I see my friend who came all the way over here from Washington, D.C., Joss Williams, who's the president of the Metro Council of Unions. One of the reasons we chose Giant Food is because poverty is all about making sure that the people who are struggling have jobs. Not just any job, but jobs that pay better than a living wage, jobs that provide health care insurance, jobs that provide what families need to be able to live and thrive in this very expensive community. So Josh, I did not expect you to show up. I'm so glad that you were able to come and say a couple of words about this challenge is about food, but this challenge is about poverty and what needs to happen in all of our communities to make sure that we do something about it. This is Joss Williams.
Thank you very much, Council Member, and I'm happy to be here. I'm not happy about the circumstances, but this is an issue that needs all of the light that can be shined on it. You know, one of the missions of the organized labor is to bring dignity and to lift up working men and women, and you can't do it on $5 a day. We have a challenge in this country now where the unemployment rate is high. People are living literally hand to mouth on a daily basis. And a campaign like this, Councilmember Ervin, is just the kind of stuff that we need to highlight. America needs jobs. You can't feed your family unless you have work. And it's just not any kind of work. It's got to be good paying work, because this is a country that has a high standard of living. You have the very rich, and you also have the very poor. And our mission is to try and get those in the middle and to keep them going. And we must highlight the poverty that hits this country. My challenge in there was not only just to try and get $5 a day, it was to try and read the contents of what I was buying to make sure that there was some kind of nutrition, that the sodium was not high. There was a product which I picked up which was $1. I said, for $1, full meal. Except, and then I read and I looked at the sodium content, and the sodium was 25% of the meal was sodium. I mean, that's just outrageous. Can you imagine Americans feeding their kids and feeding themselves and putting nothing but nutritional poison in their body? So we must highlight this. And one of the reasons why I am personally invested in this is because my region, which is the metropolitan Washington region, has members who are having a hard time not just buying food, but getting to a place where they can actually get the food. So we must not only highlight the food, we also must highlight the travel. We must highlight what's taking place in the community and in the neighborhood, because the neighborhoods are having low-income grocery stores which are charging 3-4 times what Giant is charging, and they're not even paying their employees a good wage. So Valerie, thanks very much for highlighting this. I'm going to see how long I can last on 20, not just the 5 days. I'm going to try and see beyond the 5 days how long I can last.
Absolutely.
And Friday night I'll be with you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I think the most important people here are the people that serve struggling families each and every day. So I want to call you all up here. You can huddle around the microphone. We're going to start with Ronnie Galvin. If Jenna here from Man of Food. Greg Wims, you're here. Judith Clark, Marie Henderson. And I want you all to sort of come to the microphone, say who you are and what you do, and why this challenge is so important to all the nonprofit community that serves. And of course, I step right on the cord. I'll get out of your way. You
Good morning. My name is Ronnie Galvin.
You're tall, Ronnie, so you might want to. Yeah, he's good.
I am the Executive Director at Impact Silver Spring. Our mission is to build a thriving multicultural community here in Montgomery County. First, I just want to thank again Councilmember Ervin for bringing this challenge to all of us. She called me not the middle of the night, but it was late at night after she was running around, and she said I had this idea. And after I got done with her, I hung up and I turned to my wife. I said, "That's the best damn idea I've heard in a long time." And so I want to thank you for that. I also want to just acknowledge all of the leadership that's here. It's been said many times that Montgomery County is one of the wealthiest, most affluent counties in the country. It's also one of the most progressive, one of the most giving and loving counties and jurisdictions in the country. And we could rest on our laurels, but we refuse to let folks in our community struggle in silence. And this campaign is all about shining the light on people in our community who are struggling in silence. I think we all will agree, with all that we are and that we represent as a county, it is almost a betrayal of our values. It is a betrayal of what we project and who we are if we allow this to happen. And if we can eradicate poverty anywhere on the planet, I believe, and I know all of you believe, that we can do it here with the courageous leadership that is in our county. Impact Silver Spring is in this because we have turned our community building model to help folks find jobs and embark on pathways so that they can be more secure economically and that they can participate on a more consistent basis in the democracy. And what we know is that hunger and housing and transportation are all kinds of things that undermine people's ability to do that. And so we're in this for that reason, to make sure that those things don't get in the way of people realizing their fullest God-given potential. Two more things before I take my seat. On this Friday, let me back up. When Valerie called and she said, "Hey, I'm thinking about it, will Impact be involved?" The request wasn't even out of her mouth fully before I said yes. But I did say that we were not interested in just an event. We came together, we shopped, and we went throughout the week, experiencing what poverty was like. We were hopeful that in this county we could create a movement or join the movement, add fuel to the movement to eradicate poverty from our community. And she assured me that that's what she was in it for, and that's why we're in it. Last thing I'll say before I leave is to paraphrase a great prophet who came through this way years ago who was taken from us way too early, Martin Luther King Jr. He said that for evil to prevail, all that needs to happen is that good people sit down and be silent. And I'm grateful that this county refuses to be silent on this issue. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Come to the Solution Center, please. Gregorio, Solution Center.
Good morning. My name is Jenna Umbriak, and I am a registered dietitian. I work at Manna Food Center, which is the food bank for Montgomery County. And I would say, as a registered dietitian, this challenge is particularly important, as many have alluded to, because it highlights the fact that the healthiest choice is not always the easiest choice for people to make, especially folks who are dealing with a lot of stressors and depending on things like food stamps to get their food. And at Manna Food Center, we know that when people come there to receive food, the choice is completely gone out the window by that time. They don't have the choice to make the healthier or the unhealthy choice. So it is our obligation there, and we've done we've put in a lot of effort since I was hired a year and a half ago to really make our food package the healthiest food package it can be. And so I'd like to take a moment, because I have the attention of some Montgomery County residents, if you are in a position to help folks and support Manna Food Center by giving food or holding a food drive, I'd ask you to think about what food you'd like to feed your family if you were in that position. Too often, the food banks and food rescue organizations of the world are given the dregs of the food system and the leftovers. And then
Good morning, Gregorio.
and we shouldn't expect families to have to feed their children that, the ramen noodles of the world or the Oreos of the world. So we have a healthy food drive toolkit. If you need information and like to find out how you can help, please contact Manna Food Center.
Good morning, Gregorio. You need to register 7, please, for customer courtesy.
Register 7?
Gregorio, register 7.
So please think about whole grain items, low sodium items that we talked about, fresh fruits and vegetables. We accept them. So if you want to grow them, we will take them. We are doing the best that we can to give people the opportunity to make the healthy choice. And so I thank you for any support you can give. Giant's a great partner, so I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that while we're here. And I'd appreciate the support of all of Montgomery County as we hope to fight hunger. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Marie Henderson. I'm the Executive Director of Interfaith Works, and I want to thank Council Valerie Ervin and all my friends and colleagues behind me. Every single day I go to work inspired and uncomfortable. And my job is to make people inspired and uncomfortable. So as you are out here cold, think about our clients from Interfaith Works who stand outside every morning or every evening waiting to get into the shelters. They come to Giant to get their food. We actually use Giant. That's part of our vocational services. They're a great partner, but I'm really glad that we're out here really uncomfortable, and I am hoping that you come out of this week inspired.
Hello, everybody. I'm Judith Clark, and I'm the Executive Director of Women Who Care Ministries. I'm humbled to have the opportunity to take part in this, and I definitely want to send kudos to Councilwoman Ervin, the County Council, and everyone who has a hand in this endeavor. The beginning of a greater movement, a deeper movement. It indeed takes a village to feed a kid, to feed a family. And what this representation is doing to me, it's taking my commitment to making sure that no child goes hungry, to make sure that no family goes hungry, to make sure that no domestic violence victim continues to be battered. It makes it even deeper. When I came in here, I was really excited and I was gung-ho, and I looked at Councilwoman Ervin. I said, "Are you having fun with the $25 shopping?" She said, "Ask me at the end of the week." But before the end of the day, I mean, some things happened, when I was in that line. I mean, number one, I had to send a lot of food back. I didn't have enough money. So I got a chance because I put myself in the character of a woman shopping. And so I felt the humiliation when I had to put item after item after item back, then had to put more items in and look at the frustration on the cashier's face, And so I spent $24.61. And I began cherishing that 39 cents. And I'm like, I'm a giver, but somebody better not ask me for this 39 cents on the way out the door. Because even as I'm in here in this press conference, I got my eye on my food. Nobody better not take my food over there in the cart. Just really putting myself in the cast of what it feels like. So what started out as an excitement and a joy is just a deeper charge, a deeper commitment, because what used to be sympathy is now the deeper empathy, as we're understanding the plight. I do plan on journaling throughout the week, and sharing my experiences on Twitter and other social media. But more importantly, one of the things that Women Who Care Ministries has done, as many of us has done, we've been running around spreading the word to everybody. You don't have to go out of your way to spread the word about this challenge this week. Capital One came to our offices the other day, all of the regional managers, to do a big project. So now they too have joined the SNAP Challenge. Churches, nonprofits. Everybody needs to get involved because, again, as I said, it takes a village to feed a kid. It takes a village to feed a family. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Judith. And last but not least, the people to my left are leaders in our community, and they're activists in our community. And so there's Evan Glass, Kathy Stevens, Mayor Jeffrey Slavin, and Anna Lopez Van Balen, who works for Ike Leggett. If you guys, it's getting cold out here. If you want to just say one quick thing, and then we'll move on.
My name is Jeffrey Slavin, and I am the mayor of the town of Somerset. We are the first town outside of California that has signed up to be a HEAL city, healthy eating, active living. As many know, obesity is really the #1 public health issue in the country now, and it has a greater impact on low-income people, and that's what I'm going to be looking at this week, is how we can eat healthier even with a small budget, because it is possible, and hopefully we'll all learn that this week.
I'm Kathy Stevens. I'm the Executive Director for the Montgomery Coalition for Adult English Literacy. All these issues are tied together. We serve the over 150,000 adults in our community who are limited English proficient. So the piece I'm going to echo everything that everyone else said. The piece that I've been thinking about is so many of our fellow residents and community members can't come into a store and comparison shop. They can't read the sale items. They don't run into people they know who can say, what are the good sales this week? Because their communication is limited. So let me add that point to this conversation and this experience that we're having this week. As I said on the Facebook page, I'm really excited and humbled to have an opportunity to really challenge myself and get outside my comfort zone, and I invite so many other people to join us with this. It is a really great experience to understand our community better and the role we play in our community.
My name is Evan Glass, and we live in such a diverse community that it's sometimes hard to put yourselves and understand others' perspectives, but this process that we're going through right now, buying $25 worth of food for the week, is the first step in walking in other people's shoes.
Thank you, Evan. And Anna, I just want to say before she speaks that the county executive, I wish he could have been here today, but he and his wife have both taken the challenge. And for us to have a leader like that in the county that's willing to put himself out like that, we can't be more honored. And make sure you let him know that we are. We'll check in with him and his wife later in the week, so if you want to say.
Well, thank you, Councilmember Ervin, for this opportunity. I know the county executive is very excited to support this, and I know many of my colleagues are as well, including Kathy Matthews up county and Humberto in Silver Spring. And I, as a former social worker, this challenge really resonates with me. And being in the heart of Wheaton, I get a door knock at least once a day from someone who is looking for food, someone who is looking for food stamps, someone who is looking for housing. And I daily have to respond to that need. And so I see this as a tool, this challenge today, to educate other people about what's going on, but hopefully it's not going to be the last tool we utilize to educate others and get other people on board with the services, as Councilmember Navarro mentioned, that are needed to support our community. So thank you, and I'm excited to see how we all do this week.
Thanks. Okay, and we'll close the press conference with an announcement that this coming Friday, February the 8th, we will all be invited, all of you are invited to come to the Silver Spring Civic Building. Impact Silver Spring will be hosting, and a wider circle along with them will be hosting, what is it called, Ronnie? You might want to say what's...
Raise your voice, snap the silence.
Raise your voice, snap the silence. It's a way for us all to eat together and talk about what this experience was like for each of us and what we will do to move forward in the future. This will not be the end of this. This is the beginning of something we hope that's going to be an ongoing issue that we all engage in. So thank you all for coming. And 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, there will be food. So We hope to see you all there. Okay, thank you all very much for coming. I know it's cold, so. Yeah.